What's up, everybody? Welcome to Last Man Standing, the Circa Survivor Pool Contest podcast. This is episode 15 for Last Man Standing. The season is absolutely flying by. We already previewed week 7 of the NFL season. We went through every single game with a former NFL coach on our last episode. So make sure you go ahead and check that out over on YouTube or on my Twitter at Tony's Market Tips. Today is simply a reaction to the absolutely insane surprise for who the number 1 selected team was in Circa Survivor. I am in a bit of shock right now. I'm really surprised. But first, before we get there, let's recap where things stand in Circa Survivor, because I know there's going to be some people watching this that maybe aren't familiar with Circa Survivor. They're participating in other Survivor pools. There's $14.266 million on the line, you guys. And this is where it really starts to get fun. If you're still alive in Circa Survivor, drop us a comment. Let us know that you're still alive. Let us know who you picked for this week. The selection counts are out, so there's no reason to be coy or shady about it. Go ahead and let us know who you're on. And even if you're not in Circa Survivor, please do let me know as well. You may notice that Ryan is not with us today. Ryan is in D.C. right now for alumni weekend. So he played for the Commanders before they were called the Commanders, back when they were the Redskins. And so he won't be on the show today, but he will be joining us Wednesday. And Wednesday, we have a very, very, very special guest. I won't tell you who it is. I actually know who it is this time, but I will give you a hint. Wednesday's guest has more than 300,000 followers on Twitter. So it's a big name. Check us out on Wednesday. We will be previewing all of the week 8 games for Circa Survivor from a Circa Survivor lens. But again, go ahead and drop your comments. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to go ahead and jump into it and talk about this stunner here. You guys ready for this? You guys ready for this? Look at these selection counts. And this is courtesy of VSiN, the Vegas Sports Information Network. That's where Derek Stevens and Jeff Benson just were on the air releasing these numbers. You can see my reflection there in the background. Holy cow. The Rams were the number 1 selection, you guys. I thought for sure it was going to be Commanders and Buffalo as the top 2 options. And it's not even really close, y'all. The Rams by almost 30, by like 25 people. Are you kidding me? I thought for sure the Rams wouldn't even be in the top 2. And as I sit here and try and diagnose why this happened, I'm thinking we're at this point in the contest where people are good. And this is less chalky of a selection count than we've seen in prior weeks because, no pun intended, the fat has been trimmed. I'm not in it anymore. There's a lot of other people out there who aren't in it anymore. And the chalkier folks have been trimmed out because we've seen the chalk go down week after week after week in Circa Survivor. So if you're going to ask me why this happened, why do we have such a stunner here? Why are the Rams the number 1 selected team, even though their point spread wasn't the highest? I'm going to go ahead and say these are people making smart decisions, saying, you know what, I'm not going to go with the chalk this week. But all these smart people made the same decision at the same time, and now it's not looking so smart now, is it? So we'll see how smart it's looking after Sunday. But this is absolutely fascinating. It's almost like Circa Survivor strategy at this point requires some like reverse psychology. There's the psychology of who do I think everybody's going to take? But now that we got 200-ish, 215 really smart people, maybe you got to start doing a little reverse psychology at this point. So go ahead and take a look at these numbers. How about 20 people trusting Jacksonville? I talked about it on this show. I talked about it on my other podcast, The Huddle. That field in London, it's a retractable field. You hear about retractable roofs. This is a retractable field that they're putting on top of this field. So to me, we don't know for sure that that field's going to be sloppy, but there might be some slippage in that game. There might be some people falling down on that turf. And I don't know that I'd want my Circa Survivor entry going against Drake May in his second ever start. We don't really know who he is in terms of an NFL quarterback and a questionable field in London. So good luck to those 20 people. But if you're not one of those 20 people, You get to wake up early and root for the Patriots and root for carnage to start the day before we even get to the early slate in the NFL season. So that's exciting that we got some Survivor action to start the day off in London. I love that. The comments are flowing in, leveling wars. We've got the OG Fat Panda who's still in it, still in Circa Survivor. Congratulations to you, OG Fat Panda. To everybody watching right now, you are the envy of our audience. We all want to be where you are. Congratulations, my friend, and soak it up. I was in this spot last year. I was in this spot 3 of the last 4 seasons with about this many people left, and it's the best feeling in the world. Knowing not only are you this close to $14.266 million, but you get to have the sweat of your life one way or another. These weekends are going to be so fun. So congrats to you, OG Fat Panda. We are rooting for you very much so. So please do keep watching. Please do let us know how you're doing. We got more comments rolling in. Brett Ritchie says, I rolled Buffalo and was 2. Let's go. Was 2 as in you were surprised? What do you mean by that, Brett? You mean you were surprised about the count? I'm not sure what you mean you were 2. Maybe you're as shocked as I am that the Rams were number 1. Alexander Chin says, I used reverse psychology. Rams most unreliable and primed for upset of the top 3. Let's go Buffalo and Commanders too. Alexander, are you alive in Circa Survivor or are you in a Survivor pool on the side? Either way, we wish you luck. But if you're alive in Circa, please do let us know as well. When we're talking about upsets, real quickly here, I want to talk about the path for each of these teams to get an upset, the top 4 at least. The Jaguars, it's quite simple. It's that sloppy field, and it's Drake May being Drake May. I talked about my horror story last year of when I took the Jaguars with 120 people left and lost to Jake Browning in his second ever start because I was sure that Jake Browning wasn't very good. That hurt. So that's a pretty easy path. It's at least easy to get to in my head how that can happen. Drake May has a good game and he's better than we all think. That's pretty simple. How about Buffalo? Buffalo, I think, is pretty safe this week, you guys. And these are the people that are, if they're still alive in Circa Survivor, they're celebrating right now. They're saying, hey, we took Buffalo and we're the 3rd top pick. And we thought we were going to be number 1. They tuned into this show thinking we were going to be talking about the Bills as the number 1 selection, maybe number 2 behind the Commanders. And now they're number 3 instead. So those people got to be feeling really nice right now. Really nice. Buffalo's getting healthy, you guys. Ed Oliver missed last week's game. He's going to be back. Teron Johnson has missed multiple games this year. He's going to be back. They've got a really good linebacker. Gosh, I'm having a brain fart right now. His name escapes me right now, but he's missed a couple games this year. He's going to be back. They're getting their running back. And then they had a rookie running back last week who came out of nowhere. This team is getting healthy. And oh yeah, they added Amari Cooper. He might play a couple snaps this weekend too. So I'm feeling really good if I'm on the Bills. I have the Bills, by the way, in a couple of mini Survivor pools. But if you're going to ask me what's the path for the Bills to lose, it's Mason Rudolph. And if anybody in this chat, the comments are flowing in. If anybody in this chat put the Bills down before the deadline and then learned that Mason Rudolph is going to be starting, I want to hear from you. I'm curious if that makes you a little bit more concerned that Mason Rudolph is going to be the starting quarterback against your Bills. No more Will Levis. No more nightmare Will Levis who makes boneheaded plays. Instead, we're getting Mason Rudolph, who used to make boneheaded plays, but actually looked really good at the end of last season and was serviceable in a playoff game last season. I want to know what you think if you took the Bills and learned after your deadline that Mason Rudolph is the quarterback, or maybe your deadline hasn't come up because you're in a you're in a smaller Survivor pool, and you were thinking, Bills, is Mason Rudolph giving you a little bit of pause? I want to know. Hugh says, let's not try to predict upsets. Look at the money line, guess how many others will pick them, and plan paths. I think that's sound advice. Dan Johnson says Buffalo is a high EV play this week for sure. That's what I was getting to, Dan. I wasn't using, the technical language of expected value, but that's what I was getting to. Absolutely. I agree with you, brother. Those are the people who are happy when they see the selection count come out. John says, surprised the Rams were top. I am too, John. I'm stunned. This is definitely the biggest surprise of the season for the Saturday night Circa selection count, in my opinion, and one of the biggest surprises that I can remember in a long time in Circa Survivor. The fact that the Rams are not only on top, but on top by like 25 selections. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. John says Mason who? John's not worried about Mason Rudolph. John is not worried about the Titans' backup quarterback coming in with a little bit of an upset here. Alexander Chin says, a little bit, but we just need to win, baby. That's right. That's the beauty of Circa Survivor. It doesn't matter how much you win by. You just need to win the game outright. I love it. By the way, we haven't had any ties impact Circa Survivor yet so far this year. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But through 6 weeks, we haven't had that. My gut is just telling me we got a tie coming up in Circa. It's just intuition. I can't promise it. This week, maybe the week, we get a tie. By the way, speaking of that, isn't it the worst feeling in the world when your Circa Survivor selection goes to overtime? Now we've got these 10-minute overtime quarters instead of 15. I've lost 2 Circa Survivor selections deep into Circa, you guys, in overtime. Cowboys on Thanksgiving 3 years ago against the Raiders. Brutal. There's like 156 people left when I lost Circa Survivor. Last year, Jaguars against the Bengals in that game that I mentioned against Jake Browning. There is no worse feeling than going into overtime when your Circa Survivor selection is on the line, because ties lose and you need points real bad. It's just the worst. OG Fat Panda says, guy with 6 is all in on the Rams. Thank you, OG Fat Panda, because as I'm doing this podcast, I can't be looking at Survivor Atlas or the Circa PDF. So that is very, very helpful information. I was curious about that. He's all in on the Rams. Fascinating. That's not what I would do. You want to know what I would do if I had 6 selections, you guys? You know who I think should also be celebrating right now? 9 on Cincy. 9 on Cincy, 2 on Indy, 1 on Atlanta, 1 on Minnesota, 1 on Philadelphia. Let me tell you why. If 4 teams lose this weekend, Jacksonville, Buffalo, Washington, Rams, all they need is 4 teams to lose. And suddenly you're looking at, what's the math here? 11, 13, 16 people could be left in Circa Survivor if those top 4 teams lose. And as crazy as Circa Survivor has been this year, is it that far-fetched that the top 4 teams could all lose? That's not that crazy or not that unrealistic. We could see that happen. So I get the Atlanta guy. I see what he's thinking. I don't love it with 1 entry left, but that's a hell of a move. Because if you just get a little bit of carnage, you're in the money. It's time to chop, boys. We could be talking about a chop on the next week's show if just 4 teams lose. Hell, if the first 3 teams lose, we're going to be down to 30-something people left. This is going to be a fascinating week in Survivor. I hope you guys are as pumped as I am. But going back, and I see your comments coming in. I'm going to welcome those comments in a second. But going back to the paths for these teams to lose. For Buffalo, it's Mason Rudolph has a hell of a game. For Jacksonville, it's Drake May has a hell of a game on a sloppy field for the Patriots. For the Commanders, that one's hard, isn't it? That offense is too good. That offense is going to put up points. I think it's going to be Chuba Hubbard is able to control the clock for Carolina. And obviously Andy Dalton is going to do his thing. But that's the only path, I think, for Carolina, is if that running game gives the Commanders trouble and they're able to hold on to the ball for 37 minutes or something like that. The Rams, you guys tell me, how do the Rams lose this game to the Raiders? Is it if their offensive line doesn't look good and that really good defensive line of the Raiders is able to get to Stafford and pressure him? This could be a home crowd in Los Angeles for the Raiders. That's a little scary as well if I'm on the Rams. But I'll tell you what, if I'm one of these 81 people on the Rams, I'm shitting myself. If I wake up tomorrow morning and I see that Cooper Kupp's not playing, he's questionable. Dylan Parham, the guard, is out for the Raiders. That's good news if you're on the Rams. But if I wake up tomorrow morning and I see that Cooper Kupp is out and I'm on the Rams, I'm ill. I'm physically ill at that point. When I lost on Thanksgiving with the Cowboys, I woke up that morning and it was one of their big receivers. I think it was actually CeeDee Lamb. It was CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. One of those two I thought was going to play in the game and ended up not playing. And that was a bad feeling. I almost saw it come in that morning. It was almost like a bad omen. So you want Cooper Kupp in if you're one of the majority folks that are on the Rams in this one. Let's check out these comments here. What are you guys saying? Zokold says, I love Cincy. I haven't looked at what the expected value is exactly on that one, but I think Cincy's got to have a nice expected value too. But I will say this about Cincy. Here's the path to them losing. The Browns got their running back. The Browns' offensive line is fully healthy. And I know that Deshaun Watson is terrible. But could losing Amari Cooper, and getting Nick Chubb back just make these guys start from scratch and say, you know what we've been doing on offense isn't working. We're going to do something completely different. We are going to be a power run team like we used to. Nick Chubb, his last 2 games against the Bengals, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards in each game. He's beat the Bengals up. The Bengals have struggled big time on the road in Cleveland like they are in this spot. So that wouldn't shock me if the Bengals lost this game. But I agree with you, Zokold. You got to be feeling great if you're on the Bengals or Bills in this one, just expected value-wise. We've got a ton more comments. What are you guys saying? Bowers, best player on the field. That's a good point for the Raiders. That's a very good point. I like that. Paradise is riding with the Rams. Give me some details, Paradise. Are you in Circa? Are you in a survivor pool? How many people are left if it's your own survivor pool? Who have you used up so far? Let me hear from you. Dan Johnson says Commanders would only lose in a shootout. Commanders' defense is below average. I agree with you, Dan, but the personnel for the Commanders is well below average. The personnel for the Commanders is at the bottom of the league, in my opinion. But Dan Quinn is making this team play really well. He's doing a great job scheme-wise with what he has. So I think I've got to call the Commanders almost like a barely below average defense. Maybe they're even average. Let's see what we got for comments here. Hoping for the headlines to be Raiders rally without the Devontae drama. Rudolph fixes Titans issues. Daniels finally regresses to the means. That will be a big day for you, eh, Michael? I like it, man. I like it. I like the creativity there with that comment. Is Chubb getting 15 plus carries? It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm thinking about it now. Is this a desperation spot for the Browns where he's not ready to get 15 plus carries and they're just bringing him back because they absolutely need to win this game or their season's over? And in that case, maybe he doesn't. But if you're going to follow the train of thinking that I was saying earlier, where they're going to completely shift the way their offense runs, that's the argument for there being more than 15 carries. They go into this game saying, hey, guys, we are going to push them around. That's how we win this game. I don't care if our first 2 carries go for 2 yards. We are not abandoning the run. And in that case, I certainly could see a path for getting 15 plus carries for Chubb. But I don't have a lot of conviction one way or another on it. That's a really good question. Chubb is going to be limited, LOL, says Paradise. We'll see. We'll see. Chubb is going to be limited. Whoa. 2 of the same comments from 2 different people. I like it. Paradise says, I'm in multiple DK survivor pools. Biggest one left being $10 with $545,000 for first. Hell yeah, that's a nice one, man. Curious how many people are left in that. I have 1 entry left in most. I have 10 to 11 entries across all the pools left. Certainly, best of luck to you there. Zokold says, I doubt it. Therefore, Browns lose. I'm sure that was about the Nick Chubb comment. We'll see. You guys would be shocked if Nick Chubb had 22 carries this week. I wouldn't be stunned at all. That guy's an absolute beast. I know he's coming off of a very serious injury, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that. Is anybody here in the Survivor Sweat Mini Survivor, or they call it the Survivor Revival Contest? I've got 2 entries left in that one. I got 1 on the Bills, 1 on the Commanders. So in that vein, I'm really excited about the Rams being the number 1 selection so far in this one. Dan Johnson, I think ESPN NFL Survivor is a tie is considered a win. Oh, I've never done ESPN. That's interesting. But yeah, the vast majority of pools, it's considered a loss. Indeed. Browns giving up. I just lost some lighting here. Thanks for bearing with me here, guys. Browns giving up. Yeah, what's that locker room like? Kevin Stefanski's a good coach, you guys. He's won Coach of the Year twice. I could see them giving up. I could see them getting frustrated with their quarterback situation. But I think having Nick Chubb back, not just because of his talent, but the leadership that he provides, I could see that being a spark for this team. So I'm going to give them another week before I say they've given up. But I got to admit, they look really bad. They look really, really bad lately. Oh, that's an old comment there. So once again, here's our rundown. 2 on Indy. A lot of sharp guys on the Dolphins this week, you guys. Money line and with the points. That's fascinating. Those 2 on Indy. 1 on the Vikings to stay, undefeated against the Lions. The Lions without Aiden Hutchinson. Interesting. Okay. That Cooper Kupp news is going to be really interesting tomorrow. He's truly questionable. Like, you guys think Cooper Kupp is going to play? Limited practice this week after being out for a few weeks. It truly feels like a coin flip to me. It really does. That Commanders-Panthers game, I feel like is going to be an overfest. I bet it at over 50.5 points earlier this week. 51 is kind of a key number on totals. That's up over 51 now. I like points in that game. I can't imagine either defense getting stopped in this one. We saw the Falcons do whatever the hell they wanted to the to the Panthers, and the Panthers are going to be just as banged up in this one. You really see them slowing Jaden Daniels down? That's kind of tough for me to imagine. Zokold says, from what I see on Twitter, I don't think Cooper Kupp plays. No, Cooper out, I think. Save him for the short week against the Vikings. Well, how about the Rams against the Patriots? Is that week 11, I believe? I got the whole grid behind me here. The Rams play the Patriots this week. And all those people who are on the Rams this week can't use them against the Patriots. And strategy-wise, I find that fascinating, you guys, because if you're on Buffalo, if you're on Washington, you're excited that the Rams were the number 1 selection. If you're on the Rams, I think you're a little disappointed listening to this show and saying, damn, bummer. We're the number 1 selection. This is like a double bonus for the people that are on Buffalo and Jacksonville, because obviously if the Rams lose, almost half the field is eliminated. Well, less than half the field, 30-something% is eliminated. But even if the Rams win, it's still kind of cool, because now when week 11 rolls around, whoever's still alive, a big chunk of them can't use the Rams. So strategy-wise, it's kind of nice. Win or lose, whatever happens in that Rams game. You like that they're the number 1 selection and you're not on the Rams if you're someone that picked Washington, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, etc. I can't wait for football tomorrow, you guys. Jaguars, Patriots, survivor implications on the line in game 1. It's going to be a hell of a day tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thank you so much for the comments. Love interacting with you guys. The show next week where we preview week 8 is going to be on Wednesday. Very special guest with over 300,000 Twitter followers. Can't wait to have that discussion on Wednesday, previewing the week 8 games. Of course, Ryan will be back Wednesday as well. We'll see what kind of fun he had at Alumni Weekend for the Commanders game. He's going to be at the Commanders-Panthers game, which has huge survivor implications. Number 2 selection. He's going to be there. So we'll catch up with him on Wednesday as well. Can't wait to talk to you guys. If you would please, if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like, That helps more people see this in their algorithm. More people who are into survivor pools will actually see this. If you're not subscribing already on YouTube, that helps our channel grow as well. We started this 7 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago now. Grew this show from scratch. Love getting all this interaction for you guys. We want to keep it going. And every 2 seconds that you guys take to like or subscribe, retweet on Twitter if you feel like being generous, that's a huge help for this show to grow. Also, please check out survivoratlas.com. Check out Survivor Atlas on Twitter and survivorsweat.com. The marketplace is where you can buy and sell Circa Survivor selections. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Have fun tomorrow. OG, Panda, good luck. We'll be rooting for you, man. Soak it up. No better feeling than being in Circa Survivor with 215 people left. Soak up every minute of it. Enjoy every second of it. Take care, guys.